The little match girl, she was starving, apart from struggling to survive the cold weather. When this poor little girl was roaming around trying to sell some matchsticks, it was the holiday season, and there was a joyful vibe all around. She looked like a figure of sorrow herself due to the cold, hunger, and grief. She noticed the lights of the festivities as she walked from one street to the next. She sensed the candles and the smells of excellent cuisine. She didn't want to go home because her house did not have a roof covering which could protect her from the cold. It would have been difficult for her to stay warm in the room in such harsh weather. But she had no other choice and decided to go home. She huddled herself against a wall and sat down after a while. Her fingers had gone numb. She hesitantly burned one matchstick from the bundle she had to get rid of the dreadful cold. To keep herself warm, she held her hand over the bright light and covered it with her palms. She sat next to a giant iron stove and was loving the warmth of the bright flame. She tried to warm her feet with the flame, but sadly it went out soon. The little match girl tried rubbing one more matchstick. The light, however, fell on the wall this time, and it turned transparent. She had a clear view of the entire room. She noticed a table with a lovely tablecloth and food served on beautiful dinnerware. She could smell and see the roasted goose with dried prunes and apple stuffing. All of this was visible to her. The goose hopped down from the table, knife and fork in hand, heading straight for her. But the match quickly burned out, leaving her with nothing but a cold, damp wall. She rubbed another matchstick against the wall in order to keep her visions alive. She noticed a large and lovely Christmas tree this time. It was big, beautifully decorated, and had dazzling lights all around it. This Christmas tree was larger than any other she'd ever seen. On the green branches of the Christmas tree, there were bells and lights, as well as gorgeous pictures hanging from it. She reached out to touch the Christmas tree because she was overjoyed to see it. But alas! The lights and the flame went out. The Christmas tree vanished as soon as she touched it. She lighted another match, and this time the lights appeared as stars rising higher and higher in the sky. When one of the stars dropped out of the sky, she was reminded of her grandma. Her grandmother had told her that a falling star meant death. When one of the stars in the sky falls, a soul ascends to God and becomes a star. The only person who warmed the little match girl's heart was her grandma, who adored her and was always sweet to her. Her granny was no longer alive. The small girl lit another matchstick and began conversing with the vision. She was now able to see her grandmother. Her grandmother was before her, bright and beautiful, with a gentle smile. She didn't want her grandma to vanish when the matchstick burned out just like the other visions. So, in order to keep her grandmother close, she lit another matchstick and then another after that. She lighted the entire packet and begged her grandmother to take her to heaven as quickly as possible. Both of them went to be with God in the light and joy. They were both happy since they were together and in heaven, where there was no cold, hunger, or fear. The falling star appeared to be a foreshadowing of the little girl's own death. The little girl had been frozen to death when passers-by saw her the next morning. They noticed her body but didn't notice her smiling face. Many people mourned her, but they had no clue that she had died in an unusual way. A death that relieved her of all worries and was attended by her own grandma, and now they were both happy to be in each other's presence. This narrative not only justifies the tiny match girl's hardships, but also describes her death in the most beautiful way possible.